Hi folks, welcome to the Yoga Wild YouTube channel. My name is Casey. I use the pronouns she, her. And at Yoga Wild, we value nature, community, and yoga. And that means that our yoga is more than what happens on the mat. It's also how you engage and interact with others and your environment. Tonight's slow flow class, or this slow flow class, is a slow down to wake up. And wake up as in awareness, not energy. So if you are taking this practice a little bit later in the evening, then you should be fine. For our slow flow tonight, I will break down or offer a variation of chaturanga. So if that typical high to low push-up in a vinyasa class doesn't work for your body, or maybe you've just done thousands of them over the years and you tend to just tune out or autopilot, this slower variation I find more accessible, but also more intense. And then after our Sun B, I will present a cooling breath. This can be really effective to remove heat from the body, whether that's temperature. It's a hot one here in the Pacific Northwest today, or internal heat like anger or frustration. So make sure to stick around for all of those things. For class tonight, I do have a couple of blocks that might come in handy for you for balancing or when we're in some grounded lunges. And feel free to take the time now to subscribe if you are new to our channel or if you haven't yet. And then we'll meet on our backs. So as you come to your back, constructive rest. Bend your knees, walk your heels in, and just let your knees come together to touch. And as you settle onto your back, you can kind of work your shoulder blades closer together. Maybe your hands connect to your body, or you have a little space as they fall open. And take a little time in your opening meditation. Just pay attention to how your body feels right now. You don't have to overthink it. Like, how does your body feel connected to the ground, to your mat? Notice the points of your body that come into contact with the ground. So the back of your head, the back of your ribs, your tailbone. Also recognize the natural curve or sway in your spine. So you might feel a little space in your low back, like you could slide your hand under your low back. As you start to shift your awareness to your breath, recognize if you just feel your breath in your front body, like your belly is going up and down. See if you can start to pay so much attention that you also feel your breath laterally through the sides and even in your back body. So slow down to wake up, especially if you have a regular vinyasa or power vinyasa practice. When we slow down our flow, you can really start to feel all of the transitions, all of the muscles that are firing, engaging in the poses. And if you're brand new to this practice, this slower flow can give you a little time to really settle into each pose. You're not rushed, you don't have to hurry. And then you can wake up to what's really happening in your body. You don't have to force or change anything. As you're ready, walk your feet a little closer together so that your knees point straight up to the ceiling. Your heels are stacked under your knees. And go ahead and draw your left knee up and into your chest. You're not using your hands. And try to keep that sway in your low back. So the back of your head, back of your ribs, and tailbone connect. Draw your left knee up and in, and then slowly lower down. Now bring your right knee up and in. And again, you're not using anything else, and maybe your right knee just picks up a little bit, and that's fine. We're asking a lot of the hip flexors as we start class, and also the core as you bring your knee up and lower down. We'll move with breath. Inhale, draw your left knee up and in slowly. Exhale, lower down. Try to take up that whole space. As you inhale, draw your right knee up. Take your time. Feel the sway in your low back. Exhale, lower down. And try to time when your foot lands to the ground with the bottom of your exhale. One more each side. Inhale. Left knee comes up and in. Exhale. Inhale. Right knee comes up and in. Exhale. And try to seal your lips. Let your breath come in and out through your nose. If that doesn't work for you today, you can always breathe through your mouth, but try to incorporate your nasal breathing even from the start. Now lift both shins so your feet or your shins are parallel to your mat. We're going to go the opposite direction. So slowly lower your left knee or left toes to tap, and then lift your left knee up. Good. Lower your right toes down to tap, and then slowly lift up. 2 more each side with breath. Inhale, lower. Try to time that tap. Gentle. Exhale, lift. And as you continue with your breath, try to maintain back of your head, back of your ribs, and your tailbone connecting to your mat. Allow your toes to tap light, and then draw your knee back over your hips. And maybe you're starting to feel this a lot at the crease in your hips and your hip flexors. You can always rest your feet down. Good. Now we'll add a little twist side to side. So knees or legs stay as they are. You could open your arms wide. I kind of like palms down, but you can kind of play with that. Then inhale, slowly lower both knees to your left. And maybe it's just an inch or two, or maybe you lower closer to the ground. Exhale, lift your knees back up. Return to that long spine we've been working all class so far. Inhale, lower to your right. You could even look to your left, opposite direction. Exhale, lift. Couple more side to side with your breath. So we're slowing things down right from the start. So you can feel all of the pieces. It's not super intense, but there's a lot of things happening to engage, to move with your breath. And maybe it does feel intense in your body from the start, and that's okay. Know throughout class you can take rests anytime that you would like. 1 more each side. Not gripping too much with your hands, really trying to let the work come from the core. All the while moving with your breath. And we'll meet in tabletop, so however you want to get there. You could rock and roll a few times along your spine. Get a little compression through your back body, or just roll to your side, and then make your way to your hands and knees to a quadruped position. And as you come to your hands and knees, you can kind of shift your weight forward and back. Maybe even kind of walk your hands as you start to turn your fingertips out toward the sides of your mat. Just seeing what it's like to have weight on each hand. Maybe continue to move your fingertips to face toward the backs of your knees. And however far they point, you're not forcing anything. Just start to shift your hips back a little bit. You could even tuck your toes under. See if you feel a stretch there, maybe in your wrists or forearms. And slowly walk your hands so your fingertips face out and forward, and then continue to walk your hands so that your fingertips face in toward each other. And then from here, you could even sway side to side. So if yoga is new to you, especially a vinyasa style or a flow practice, then you might get some wrist pain. And just taking a little time to maybe warm up your wrists before any class you take can really help that pain start to subside and your wrists get used to all the work we're asking of them. So we'll meet back in tabletop, fingertips point forward. And then inhale, cow pose. Let your belly hang heavy. Open your shoulders, lift the crown of your head and tailbone up. Exhale, cat pose. Really draw your navel up and in as you press through your palms and round your back. Couple more slow with breath. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Return to your neutral spine. So just like when we were on our back, try to feel your back of your head and the back of your ribs and your tailbone in one line. So your head isn't dropping down or lifting way up high. Try to find that line here. And we'll take our cow-cat 3 more times, breath to movement. You can stay as you are, or for a little more challenge, tuck your toes under and hover your knees away. And pause here for a moment. Again, make any adjustments. You have a natural sway in your low back, back of your head, back of your ribs, tailbone all in line to start. Inhale, cow, drop your belly. And your range of motion might be limited if your knees are lifted, that's fine. Exhale, round. Inhale. Exhale. One more, inhale. Exhale. So return to your flat spine. We'll be here for about 5 more breaths. Maybe your knees are still lifted. Maybe you lower them down at any time. Take a rest and join back in. Keep your breath, nasal breathing through your nose. Notice if you start to sway or slump in any part of your spine. And try to make little adjustments. Anyone shaking yet? My legs are shaking so much. We are here for 3. Downward facing dog. Lift your hips up and back into. 1, press into your palms. Lift your hips up and settle in. Adho Mukha Svanasana. So kind of sway your hips side to side. That might be a nice stretch. As you settle into downward facing dog, I am going to attempt my practice without my glasses or being able to see. And if you wear glasses, that can be a different kind of challenge. If you take out contacts or take off your glasses, it can really impact balance. But for me, it helps me really pay attention, less on sight, and just how things feel. So here in downward facing dog for about 3 to 5 more breaths. If your wrists start to fatigue, you can always lower your knees down, take a rest, and come back in. And pay attention to where your weight is in your hands, so really pressing through the inner parts of your palms, and then find a little grip with your fingertips. You can bend your knees as much as you need. Notice if there's a big sway in your low back, especially if you live in a bendy body. Try to maintain that spine we felt at the beginning of class. Then inhale, gaze to your hands. Exhale, bend your knees. Step to the top of your mat. Maybe that's 1 step. Maybe it's 2 or 3. Ragdoll, forward fold. So you can keep a little bend in your knees. I like to box out my arms. That might feel like a nice little rest for your shoulders. You could nod your head yes, shake it no. Then lower your fingertips down. Option to walk your feet a little closer together. Keep a slight bend in your knees. Tuck your chin to your chest. And as slow as you can, roll up to stand. So keep your gaze down. Head and hands are heavy. Press through your heels and start to get some engagement in your legs as your legs start to straighten. There's still a flexion or rounding in your spine as you slowly stack 1 vertebra at a time. Eventually, you'll arrive standing. Mountain pose Tadasana. So you can roll out your shoulders a little bit. You could roll out your head or neck. Face your palms forward so your thumbs spiral away from your body. And your arms or your relationship of your hands to your sides might look different than mine. I have a little bit of a carrying arm, so naturally my hands come away from my body a little bit. Your hands might be closer in if that's just where they naturally come, and that's okay too. That's something mindful to think about, and I'll bring it up in a moment when we're lowering down through chaturanga or push-up. So stand tall. Try to feel that same spine you did on your back. Back of your head, back of your ribs, and your tailbone in one line. Find a drishti or gazing point, eye level or slightly above, and get really active through your legs, not locking out your knees, but pressing through the ball mounds of your feet, the center of your heel, and then press your hands together at heart center. Take a moment to close your eyes or gaze at your fingertips and set an intention for your practice. And maybe align with what it feels like for you to slow down, to wake up. What does that mean? What can you pay attention to? What do you listen to for your needs, your body, your wants? And then take a big breath in. Open mouth, exhale, send it out. Back to your nasal breathing, Ujjayi Pranayama. Open your eyes, inhale, reach your hands high, Urdhva Hastasana. Take your time, pause here. Palms of your hands face in, thumbs point behind you. Maybe you like your hands to touch. I like a little bit of space. But remember your spine. Keep the back of your head, back of your ribs, tailbone in line as you slowly start to forward fold. So as you fold, your hands can come out wide. Think of this hinge happening right at the hip creases, and keep your spine as long and flat as you can, a little bend in your knees. And then at some point close to 90 degrees, your spine will naturally start to flex as you round and fold over your legs. So we just want to keep the long, flat spine for as long as we can, nice and mindful. And then back to your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. So as you breathe here, hands can be on shins or thighs. And without me reminding you what's happening in your back body. And then high plank. Plant your palms under your shoulders, step your toes back. So reach your heels toward the back of your space and the crown of your head forward. And where is that line? The back of your head, back of your ribs, and tailbone. So maybe you have to make a little bit of adjustments. And if you're like me and don't have a mirror in your space, that's fine. Just kind of play around, feel it in your body. Know that you can lower to your knees at any time. From here, make sure that you're still breathing. Inhale. Exhale, bend your elbows toward the back of your space. And you're going to slowly lower down all the way to your belly. Try to keep that long spine flat like a board. And you don't have to squeeze your elbows into your sides, especially if your hands were like mine when you were in mountain pose. Elbows being just a slight bit wider might serve you. And then land soft. As you come to your belly, draw your palms back so they're stacked more under your elbows. Strong in your legs, lengthen your spine. So again, back of your head, back of your ribs, your tailbone. We're not arching your neck or craning it up. And as you lift your forehead away from your mat, stay long here and just lift your hands away. So when you lift your hands away, if you're like me, your hands might want to come in towards your shoulders, but try to keep them back under your elbows. Hug your elbows in, lift your elbows a little higher. Are you breathing? Do you feel this? This is so intense in my body. Now recruit your legs, anchor down in your hips, lift your hands just a little higher. Inhale. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, press up, high plank, with or without your knees. Exhale, downward facing dog. Few breaths here. Settle in. Pay attention to your breath, your heart rate shifts and changes as your body starts to warm up. Maybe there's a little resistance to going this slow. Again, if you're used to a faster pace vinyasa, I encourage you to just stay with it. Inhale, gaze to your hands. Exhale, bend your knees. Step to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, forward fold. Uttanasana. Inhale, stand tall, reach up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hands to your heart. Take a moment to come back to your intention for your practice. We'll flow through that slow Surya Namaskar A, Sun A variation. 2 more rounds, slow breath to slow movement. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Remember, flat back, hinge at your hips, and then eventually fold over. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, high plank. Inhale here. Line it up with or without your knees. Long, flat back. Exhale, lower down slowly. Bend your elbows straight back. Try to land soft. Point your feet. Inhale. You can lift your hands this time, Or maybe add a little press into your hands and lift your chest. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, high plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. A few breaths. And if you live in a tight body, as your body starts to warm up, your postures, where your feet are, how straight your legs are, might change and shift, and that's okay. Inhale, gaze to your hands. Exhale, bend your knees, step forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reach out and up, stand tall. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, high plank. Inhale here. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, lift. Hands, low cobra or maybe a little higher. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, high plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Few breaths. And I don't feel like downward facing dog ever gets easier, but at some point maybe it starts to feel familiar in your body, almost like a home base, a place to really check in, pay attention, what's happening in your wrists, your shoulders, what's happening with your breath, your heart rate, just checking in. Inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, bend your knees, step up. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, stand tall. Exhale, hands to heart. Few breaths here standing. Pay attention. When we slow down, it's a form of self-care. Slowing down can give us an opportunity to really listen, pay attention. What are your needs in your practice tonight? Open your eyes. Inhale, reach your hands up. Exhale, chair pose. Bend your knees, sink in. So maybe you keep your hands up, biceps by your ears, or just find a different variation with your arms. So don't let that part distract you. We're really starting to wake up the bigger muscles in your body. And just start to pay attention to what's happening in your low back. We want to keep the natural sway that we felt at the beginning of class, but if it's starting to turn into a big arch, a big kind of interior tilt in your pelvis, then you might need to be mindful and start to point your tailbone down a little bit. So you can even bring your hands to your body to really feel what's happening. And see if you can sink just a little deeper. Feel your 360 breath, so front, lateral, and back body. As you sink just a little deeper. Inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, high plank. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, lower. However you get there, you're not stuck. Just because your knees were lifted in Sun A doesn't mean they need to be lifted here. Inhale, lift. Any degree, any variation. Exhale, lower your forehead down. Inhale, high plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, reach your right heel high. Keep your knee and toes pointed down, big stretch up. Exhale, step your foot between your hands. So maybe your foot gets there on its own. Remember what we did at the beginning of class? Really feel that action of drawing your knee up and in and then step forward. And it still might not make it. That's okay. Just help your foot forward and then lower your back knee down. We'll be in our grounded lunge for just a little bit. And I like blocks to kind of bring the ground up a little closer to me. So that might be an option for you as well. If your hands connect without much effort, then feel free to stay grounded. And think of your hips coming down and forward, but squeeze your inner thighs together, and then maybe start to lift your chest. So even though we might be feeling a big stretch in the legs, maybe you're feeling it in front of your left hip, there's still a lot of activity and engagement happening in this grounded lunge. You could even lift a little higher. Feel the containment of your core. So really drawing everything in, ribs in, belly in, and maybe lifting your chest a little more. You could reach your hands back. Inhale. Exhale. Pyramid variation. Plant your palms on your blocks or the ground. Tuck your back toes under. As you lift your hips, fold over your front leg. So this is a huge stretch through the back of my right leg. And bring your right hip back as you press through your left big toe. If you live in a bendy body and you would like more sensation, you could always flex your right toes back toward your shins. I do not need that variation, so just kind of play around and know that that's not necessarily the goal here. We're just trying to find sensation. Squeeze your inner thighs together. Inhale, high lunge. Bend your front knee. Knee tracks in line with your toes as you lift your chest. And that's a big transition, so you might feel a little wobbly. You could always position yourself near a wall or have a chair nearby for some support. And know that you could keep a little bend in your back knee. You could always lower your left knee down. Otherwise, lift your left heel far away from your mat. Draw your right hip back. Feel containment in your core as you reach your fingertips up. Maybe sink just a little deeper. Find a drishti or gazing point, eye level or slightly above. Inhale. Exhale, warrior two. Spiral your back foot flat. Open your arms wide like a T. So take a little time to settle in here, maybe sway your hips. I always like to bring my hands and kind of feel the bony bits of the pelvis nice and level. That back hip might want to pop up. So really take time to settle in. You might be feeling a big stretch in your inner thighs. Maybe your front thigh, your quad is on fire. Just take a moment to feel all of the pieces of the pose. What if we didn't label any of the sensation as good or bad? So if your quad is on fire, maybe that's not a bad thing. Can you just come back to an even breath and your intention? And if not, just straighten your leg and then get back in when you can. Feel that back of your head, back of your ribs, and tailbone in line. Bend a little bit more into your front knee. Try to keep your legs. Inhale, reverse warrior. Reach your right hand up. Maybe you reach straight up, bicep by your ear, or start to add a little lean back. So it's a side body crunch as you stretch through your right side. Your gaze could be towards your back foot or up toward the ceiling. Inhale. Exhale. Downward facing dog. Know that you could add in that slow chaturanga or hold plank, or just make your way back. Downward facing dog. Inhale, lift your left heel high. Press in with your palms evenly, knee and toes point down. Exhale, lunge, step through. So feel your left knee draw in toward your chest and gaze forward as you step your left foot through. Lower your right knee down. So it takes a lot to bring that left foot forward, of engagement, of flexibility, of mobility. And if that's not working today, that's fine. However you get to a grounded lunge works. And then settle in. And just as if you were taking notes, you're observing. Try to do so without judgment. Just be mindful of how this side maybe feels compared to the other one. Maybe it's a little bit more tight. Maybe you stay a little lower to the ground. Maybe you have some more space to find some activity, to find some lift. all the while containing in your core. Play with your gaze. You could start to look up. Inhale. Exhale, pyramid variation. Press your palms through your blocks or your mat. Lift your back knee as you fold over your left leg. So really press with your right big toe. And it's almost like you're dragging your left heel back, like you're squeezing your inner thighs. You can keep a little bend in your left knee. Maybe add the flex in your left foot. Inhale, high lunge. Bend into your front knee as you lift. And really give yourself time to settle in, especially on those big transitions or just as we move into standing posture. So you can kind of add a little pulse. Draw your left hip back. Hands can be in any place that is fitting for you. You feel the 360 breath. Breathing in and out through your nose. Inhale. Exhale, warrior two, Virabhadrasana 2. And then settle in. So as you move into warrior two on this side, as you gaze toward your left toe, you want to be able to see your left toe. And if you don't have glasses or contacts on, it might be a little blurry, but we want to just avoid that knee rolling in. So external rotation as you spiral your left inner thigh up toward the ceiling. Really active through your back leg. And then energetically, you're reaching through your fingertips if your arms are open. Think just a little deeper. Long spine. Hold your legs. Inhale, reverse warrior. As your left hand reaches up, maybe add the side bend to reach your fingertips toward the back wall. Your palm faces the back of your space, and your right hand is light on the back leg. Be mindful of that front knee not rolling in here, in line with your toes. Big stretch, inhale. Exhale, your path, downward facing dog. We'll take a few breaths in downward facing dog. So if you want to add your slow chaturanga, or you could go to tabletop, or just hang out in down dog. Inhale, gaze to your hands. Exhale, bend your knees, step up. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, stand tall, reach up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Take a moment, come back to your intention. We will flow through that sun bee variation. 2 rounds, slow breath to slow movement. Nothing new. Try to avoid rushing on to the next pose or the next wave, and really try to be present with each piece. Slow down to wake up and be aware of how you feel, what's happening in this moment. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, reach your hands high. Exhale, chair pose, Utkatasana, sink in. Inhale here, long spine, core contain. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, high plank. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, lower. Bend your elbows straight back, land soft. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Whatever lift you choose, your legs are active. Inhale, high plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, reach your right heel high. Exhale, lunge, step through. Remember, draw your knee in, or maybe use your hands to help. Lower your left knee down. You have time. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, pyramid variation. Hands come to the ground, straighten both legs. Inhale, high lunge. Bend your front knee, lift your chest. Exhale, warrior two. Ground your back foot, open wide. Inhale, reverse warrior. Hold your legs, reach up. Exhale, straight to down dog, or find your variation, your vinyasa. You have a few breaths. Inhale, lift your left heel high. Exhale, lunge, step through. Lower your back knee down. Inhale, lift your chest, and maybe that's just hands to front thigh. Exhale, pyramid variation. Ground your hands, hold over your front leg. Inhale, high lunge. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, reverse warrior, big stretch. Exhale, your path to downward facing dog. So especially if this practice is new to you, keep in mind there isn't a right way or one way to do a pose, a transition, a vinyasa. It's really giving yourself permission to discern, find agency, do what feels right today. That's why we're slowing down. You can really listen, make those choices. Inhale, gaze to your hands. Exhale, bend your knees, step forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, stand tall, big reach up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, chair pose, sink in. Inhale here. Exhale, forward fold, slowly release. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, high plank. Inhale. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, high plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, reach your right heel high. Exhale, lunge, step through. Lower your back knee down. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, fold, pyramid variation. Inhale, high lunge. Exhale, warrior two. Try to make your transition slow. We're not rushing into the pose. Feel everything as you settle in. Inhale, reverse. Exhale, your path. Downward facing dog. Just move with your breath. Wherever you go, stay with your inhale and exhale through your nose. Inhale, lift your left heel high. Exhale, lunge, step through. Ground your knee. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold, pyramid variation. Inhale, high lunge. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, reverse warrior. Exhale, your path, downward facing dog. Stay with each part of your breath. From downward facing dog, as efficiently as you can, make your way to a comfortable seat. We'll come to a seated meditation. We do have a little standing balance, but as Promise we're going to take a cooling breath first. So I'm sitting on a block to keep my spine long. Maybe you're sitting on a blanket at home. And as you settle in, we're going to try on Shitali or Sitali Pranayama. And this cooling breath requires you to fold or roll your tongue. So you kind of make a taco shape with your tongue. If that doesn't work for your body, you can always just keep your teeth closed and let your tongue rest against the back of your teeth. So whatever variation you are in, rolled tongue or teeth sealed, you're going to inhale like you're breathing in through a straw. Draw your breath in. And then pause at the top of your inhale. Option to tuck your chin in, just an option. Lift your chin, and then exhale through your nose. Okay, we'll take about 5 to 7 breaths like that. And as you inhale, you might get a little slurping sound. And it's silly, but it's okay. Hold your breath. And then exhale. And if that chin is distracting, I'll show it without. So inhale. Just hold. Exhale. And maybe close your eyes or just find a soft gaze down as you take a few more rounds on your own. So again, Shitali Pranayama is a cooling breath that can be done when you need to release physical heat or emotional heat. So I invite you to try it on during your physical practice or maybe during your day when you are feeling like you're about to lose it or go through the roof. Try on this cooling breath. And then we'll meet in a standing posture for a little bit of balancing. So as you open your eyes, it might be helpful to have a couple of blocks near the top of your mat or a stool or a chair. So just something to help you balance as we transition. So balancing on your right leg first. Take a moment standing, mountain pose. So the back of your head, back of your ribs, tailbone all in line, open in your chest. Shift weight into your right foot and draw your left knee up. Similar to what we did at the beginning of class on our back, we're letting your hip flexors do the work and your core do the work. So lift your left knee up, inhale. Exhale, slowly shift forward, Virabhadrasana 3. We're not staying here long, just a couple transitions before we hold. Send your left heel straight back, knee and toes point down, fingertips on blocks or they can hover. Let's take that a couple more times. Inhale, lift up, slow, feel all of those pieces. Maybe tap your left toes or pass them through. Knee comes up and in as high as you can. Exhale, slow, slow, slow. Tip forward. Press through your left heel. Inhale, lift your chest. Find that tall spine as you draw your left knee up and in. Exhale, slowly tip forward. This time we'll hold Virabhadrasana 3, Warrior 3. So hands can stay at heart. You could find airplane arms. For a little bit more core challenge, reach your fingertips forward, biceps by your ears. Try to keep your chest parallel to your mat. And I have a little bend in my standing leg. That might work for you too. Are you breathing? Can you stay present in this pose, in this moment? Just slow down. And inhale, lift. Draw your left knee up and in, last one. Exhale, mountain pose, Tadasana. Take a moment standing. Pay attention, how does your right side feel? Your glute, maybe hamstring. Come back to your breath. We'll take that on the other side. Shift weight to your left foot. Inhale, draw your right knee up and in. And really try to bring your right knee up and in as much as you can without rounding your chest down to it. Stay long in your spine. Exhale, fold forward. Take your time. Virabhadrasana 3. And maybe it's just a slight hinge. Just keep your right knee and toes pointed down, or maybe it's more chest parallel. Inhale, Draw your right knee up. You could pass through or tap your toes. Exhale, hinge and fold. And this might be where you really see one side feels way different than the other. Inhale, in balance, ooh, or mobility. Exhale, this time we'll hold. Virabhadrasana 3, Warrior 3. So you could, for a moment, bring your hands to your low back. Notice if you kind of feel the right hip or side lifting up. Try to keep all of that level. And then really active through your right foot. Is it like you're pressing something away behind you? And I like to kind of start with my fingertips connected to blocks or the ground. Feel everything kind of come into alignment. And then maybe hover your hands away or find a different arm variation. Inhale, lift slowly back up. Draw your right knee in. Exhale, mountain pose, Tadasana, stand here. Few breaths. You can have a little space in your feet, long in your spine. Inhale, reach your hands up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, have a seat. Paschimottanasana, seated forward fold. We have just a few kind of restorative poses at the end of our practice before we shift to Shavasana. And I invite you to not just stop when the flow or the challenge stops. This can be a whole different type of effort. And our body needs an opportunity to really soak in all that work it just did. So as you start with toes pointing up, you can kind of rock side to side, finding your sit bones, the bony bits. Spiral your inner thighs down. Start to engage your legs. If you tap your quads, they're nice and taut. Inhale, reach up, back of your head, back of your ribs, tailbone in line. Exhale, fold. So as you make your way into your forward fold, I want to mention one thing really fast. If you find that you just can't go anywhere when you fold, like your hips are stuck, they're not going to go anywhere, getting a little height. So sitting on your mat or a blanket, having that height can help your pelvis then get into the anterior tilt that we need for this forward fold. So it's not wrong. This isn't a less than version. It just might be what your body needs in order to forward fold. And that's okay. Maybe you're connected to your feet, your shins, you're just stretching off to the sides. Again, if you live in a bendy body, maybe even placing a block on the soles of your feet and grabbing the block can be nice to find some sensation. Another way, as we move into the last couple breaths, is to really flex your feet. You can tuck your chin into your chest. And then we'll slowly make our way onto our backs. Similar to where we started in practice. As you lie back, bend your knees. And bring your right ankle to your left thigh. Flex your foot, open your knee. Know that this is a great place to stay. You could rest your left heel on a block, or maybe even draw your left thigh into your chest. So I feel a big stretch on the outside of my right hip, maybe even into my glute. You could add a gentle press on your right knee. Be mindful of what's happening in your spine. We're not rounding up. Feel back of your head, back of your ribs, tailbone all connected. Then lower your left knee down, or rather left foot down. We'll move into a twist here. So you could keep this figure 4 shape and let your right foot just fall off to the left side of your mat, maybe opening your arms wide. That might be more intense than you want right now. And if so, just have both feet down and let your knees rock to the left. Whatever variation is happening in your legs is totally up to you. Just try to keep both shoulders, your shoulder blades are grounded. You could even gaze toward your right hand. And point both knees back up. We'll take that on the other side. Left ankle to right thigh, flex your foot, open your knee. Layer up on this side, however serves you. And this idea of slow down to wake up, as I mentioned, slowing down can be a form of self-care Now you can really listen to your needs, your wants. And we need to care for ourselves so that we can care for our community, so we can care for nature. Self-care isn't the end goal. It's doing what you need so that you can also be there for others. Then make your way into your twist, keeping the figure 4 shape or whatever works for you on this side. Shoulder blades grounded, and feel your 360 breath here, even if you're in a spinal twist. So our yoga practice, especially when we slow it down, can be a way to show up for ourselves, for others. It requires us to do the inner work. And then slowly lift both knees back up. Draw your thighs into your chest first, then wrap your arms around your shins or legs. You could even lift your forehead up. Take a moment to just get tight, tight, tight like a ball. Exhale, release. Shavasana. Maybe your corpse pose looks like how we started, constructive rest. Knees come together or extend your legs out, arms out. And I'll just hold space for 2 minutes in Shavasana. And if 2 minutes feels like a long time, then I really, really encourage you to commit to that. If you'd like to stay here longer, then please feel free. Just hit pause. Give yourself time to settle in. Close your eyes. And if you find that your mind is really active, you're easily being pulled away by distractions or thoughts, that's not uncommon. You could give your mind a little mantra, something to focus on. Breathing in, I am aware that I am breathing in. Breathing out, I am aware that I'm breathing out. Breathing in, I am aware that I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I'm aware that I'm breathing out. Breathing in, I'm aware that I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I am aware that I am breathing out. Slowly begin to add movement. You can wiggle fingers and toes. Maybe even full body stretch, reach your hands overhead, but give yourself time to slowly transition to a comfortable seat. I invite you to keep your eyes closed or your gaze soft and down. Maybe you're sitting on a block, but try to feel that back of your head, back of your ribs, tailbone in line. Then press your palms together at heart center. Remember, it's the choices you make that define who you are far more than your abilities. Thank you for choosing to practice your yoga. Lift your thumbs to the center of your forehead, your third eye. We'll close with one final collective breath. Inhale. Exhale. Thank you so much for practicing. Again, my name is Casey. I'm really curious what you thought about that chaturanga variation, taking it slow all the way down, and even the cooling breath. Had you done that before, or did you really feel that kind of drop in body temperature? So you can share in the comments below. If you're one of those people that really look for ways to support local, know that we are a small business in Tacoma, Washington, and you can support us and our team by engaging with these videos. So liking, commenting, even sharing. We also have a Patreon page that we really embrace this slow down to wake up. We release new videos every Friday. It's our Chill Fridays, and it's always something restorative, yin. Classes look a little different than what you find on YouTube. So there'll be a link for the Patreon page in the description below. Thanks, everyone.